Hi, my name is Baylie Fadool, and my pronouns are she, her.
So what kind of scientist are you and what kind of science do you do?
Yeah, and so broadly, I would describe myself as a marine biologist, but to get into more specifics, I'm a shark scientist. That is the species I'm fortunate to work with. I'm always seen with the camera underwater in my hands, taking photos for photo ID pictures to be able to identify the sharks.
Were you scared or nervous the first time you went swimming with sharks? Or were you just like, it's cool, I got this?
That's a great question. And so as I mentioned, I had never been located close to the ocean before, and so I definitely never snorkeled in the open ocean either. So at first I definitely was saying, what in the world have I gotten myself into? What am I doing? Like, I love sharks, but what if in the water with them? I'm terrified. But my very first dive that I got to do was a great hammerhead snorkel. And so immediately we were being thrown in with like the largest sharks. And usually where there are great hammerheads, there's about like 30 nurse sharks there. So 30 large ones. And nurse sharks have always been my favorite. And so they were all at the surface swimming around, and there were some hammerheads below, and they're like, okay, get in. And at first it was like, what? What am I doing? I'm about to get in with these sharks. I've seen I'm nervous. And so I definitely was nervous, but immediately when I slipped under the surface and saw how graceful and peaceful the hammerheads were just swimming towards the bottom, and the nurse sharks just swimming around doing the thing. I mean, it was immediately just like, you could hear like, oh, it was beautiful. There was no Jaws music, none of it. And it honestly immediately put me at peace as well. Instead of being afraid, I felt peaceful. And I like this rush of absolute like calm come over me. So I had the absolute opposite effect. And I was immediately like, this is incredible. I can't believe I'm experiencing this. And I really hope that that's something that people, if they want to, get the chance to experience one day, because it's a feeling like no other, being under the water with them and getting to actually see them in their natural environment.
So one question that I get a lot, and I think maybe a lot of kids have in the back of their minds all the time, is if the megalodon still exists.
Yeah.
And Baylie, I was just wondering if you could speak to that question.
It does not. It does not still exist. Because actually the way we're able to know this the most is that the prey that they ate was super large and would still be around today. We would have a lot of way larger animals in the ocean, and we don't have a lot of those larger animals. So they don't have their prey source that they would have eaten. And so that's our biggest indicator. But also, how would none of us scientists that are out on the water all the time have never seen a megalodon? And so, and also they existed in a time where the water temperature was very different as well. And so I think it was a lot colder. And so because the temperatures aren't what they used to be either, they wouldn't be able to survive. And so they are not around anymore. I'm sorry to burst everyone's bubble, but there are no megalodons in the ocean anymore.
If you had a billboard, if you had Bailey's billboard all across the world, if you could put one thing on it, what would you want it to say? What would you want everybody in the world to know about what you do?
If I could have everyone know one thing about what I do, it's that you do not have to be located close to the ocean to make an impact. And that's something even beforehand I was thinking, oh no, like I really want to help the ocean, but I'm not close to it. Like, how can I do something for it? But also, you don't have to be located close to the ocean to get into this field as well. If that is something you want to do and you are passionate about, then there is space for you. There is a place for you. It took me so many years of trying over and over again, like, oh, I really want to do something. But I'm telling you, that passion shines through. It will shine through for whatever you want to do. But also, as we talked about earlier, you don't have to be located close to it to make an impact with art. You can use art by painting different things, sharing it on social media, or drawing it, or however you have your creative outlet. You can share it in that way, make videos. And also, you can write stories about them. You can write blogs. You can write about your experience. If you had the chance to visit the ocean but are not located close to it, you can still speak on it and you can still make an impact. And also by just trying to, reduce your own personal consumption waste as well when you're at home, no matter where you are. But yeah, that'd probably be one of my biggest messages, is that it's not true that you have to be located close to an ocean to make an impact or get involved in this field. There is space for you. There's space for absolutely anyone.
Why are sharks so important? Why are they important to the rest of the ocean? Why are they important to us? What makes them so important?
Yeah. And so the first answer to that, I'll come from more of like a science kind of perspective, is that sharks are so important in their environment because they are predators. And when I say predators, I don't mean that they are all apex predators. So some are in their environment. They are the top dog, the ones swimming around, controlling all the other fish around them, but not all of them are. Some of them are these middle level predators that are eating smaller prey, such as just like conch or lobsters or crabs, and they're still important as well. And other sharks will actually eat some of those smaller ones because most sharks in the world are these smaller brown sharks that are maybe about 3 feet long that live in the deep sea. And so it's not your typical shark that you think of like a big bull shark or a big hammerhead shark. Those are actually weird sharks. Most of the sharks are like these smaller brown, because there's over 500 species of sharks, and most of them are small, brown, live in the deep sea. And so there's so much we don't know about the deep sea too, which is also super fascinating. But that's where most of the sharks are. And so they're so important to conserve, and they're important to us because they are controlling a lot of the populations they're in, or helping mediate those. And so without them, there would be a complete change in the food dynamics, in environment that maybe some populations wouldn't be able to recover or adjust to. And so we want to keep our oceans as healthy as possible, and they're healthy when there are sharks in there. But also, my second answer to this question is more of kind of a personal standpoint, I guess, but they are important to us because I think they're an important lesson in being able to overcome fear. Because some people that have visited the shark lab that we are able to educate have been terrified of sharks. And they're like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Like, I'm terrified. But by the end of the week or the end of their experience visiting with us, they're like, thank you so much. I learned something, and I have such a greater appreciation for them now. And I swam with sharks. Like, I got in the water with sharks, and everything I had heard wasn't true. They're like, everything I heard wasn't true. I got in the water, saw them swimming, and they behaved completely differently than like how you'd see on the TV with them moving fast or coming towards you immediately in the water. They said none of that happened. They were just swimming and living in their environment. And I think that's such an important message for everyone to gain an appreciation for them. And it's important for conservation as well to know that they're not a threat to us. They're just living in their environment and helping control it and mediate it as well.
Well, do you have a fun, weird shark fact that you want to close us off with?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. So one of my favorites that I like to say probably is that blows people's minds is that sharks can tan. Some of them can actually tan. And so when we see lemon sharks, we'll see them early in the season sometimes, and they're a bit lighter. And then as they get older, they'll get a lot darker sometimes. And so, yeah, they actually like get tanned by the sun as well, just like we do.
Thank you so much to Baylie Fadool for joining us on this month's episode. If you want to keep learning about sharks, we have a science activity where you can actually code a video game to help a shark eat food and avoid ocean pollution. You can check it out in the show notes or at supernova.dal.ca. And as always, a big thank you to everybody listening, and welcome back to Season 4 of the podcast. For more science fun, you can find us on Instagram at supernova@dal. Do you have a question you'd like answered? Send us an email or a voice recording at supernova@superstaff.ca, and we might just answer your question on the show. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next episode. Bye for now. This show was made by Supernova at Dalhousie University, a network member of ACTUA. For more information on our summer camps, workshops, and more, visit supernova.dal.ca.